I don't know who needs to hear this, but Mitchell Robinson has been their best player. And I think we really need to appreciate them. Jalen Brunson is coming for that crown. He's more important. The RJ Barrett decision-making turn is real. But he has been dominant, arguably at both ends of the floor. The on-off splits on defense are very wonky. Opponents are shooting more often and better at the rim when he's on the court. But those offenses are really planning around Mitchell Robinson this season, where they're trying to have bigs where they can stretch him out. They're going to put them in the corner, or they're going to go out of their way, which it makes sense to put Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson in pick and roll together. And they either know that the Knicks aren't going to switch, or they know that the Knicks aren't going to change up their coverage. The ground that Robinson has had to cover, and the hesitance that I feel like he inflicts upon opponent offensive plays, it's Anthony Davis-esque. It's not nearly the same as Anthony Davis. I'm just talking about the ground that he needs to cover as a big who's not allowed to play this traditional big man role on the defensive end. But he's arguably been even more valuable on offense because the Knicks still desperately need his offensive rebounding. He currently has the highest offensive rebounding rate on record. And so that's just massive unto itself, because you look at a Knicks team, their first chance offense in the half court is bad. They're 23rd right now. Mitchell Robinson, this is according to PBP stats, and it's entering Wednesday's games. Mitchell Robinson is grabbing about 25% of New York's missed twos, including 29% of their missed attempts at the rim and 25% exactly of their missed twos between 4 and 14 feet. This matters because the Knicks are dead last in efficiency at the rim and 25th in efficiency from that 4 and 14 foot range. So him generating those second chance opportunities is just critical to their offensive livelihood. For anyone who cares, he's also grabbing about 11% of New York's missed threes. Now, Robinson is woefully inefficient when it comes to trying to go back up with the ball and score when he does this, but he knows how to get the ball out to someone who's on the 3-point line or just around the basket. And the numbers actually bear that out, that his offensive rebounds are more valuable than other people's offensive rebounds, because the Knicks' second chance offensive rating with Mitchell Robinson on the floor, they're averaging 1.12 points per possession versus 0.89 without him. And a big part of that is, yes, Mitchell Robinson kind of knows where to look, but when you have so many bodies trying to prevent Mitchell Robinson from getting said offensive rebound, someone's going to be open, going to be able to duck in, going to hit an open three. And until we've seen Jalen Brunson get a little bit hotter, but until this Knicks team performs its first chance half-court offense more consistently, because that's an issue dating back to last season, Mitchell Robinson is probably no worse than the second most important player in that building right now. You could argue third, because it's like, well, if RJ, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle, two of those guys hit more of their perimeter looks, that stabilizes the offense. But right now, Mitchell Robinson is probably the Knicks' second most important player, and he's been their best player this season. We should just appreciate it. I don't know if this is the ideal situation for them to be in, but you absolutely have to appreciate the body of work.
I agree. I think it's just always kind of fun when we don't have this happen very much, where a big guy doing big guy stuff like matters in the modern NBA. Because, all we focus on is like, well, can he guard in a switch, and he's not going to provide any spacing and all this. Like, that's all we've talked about for like 10 years about big guys like Mitchell Robinson. And now it's like a refreshing thing that he is. And you're not overstating it at all, especially for this team specifically that just couldn't make a two for, the first 3 weeks of the season at all, to have just the most like ideal fit for that deficiency to just mitigate it. And then, make the Knicks semi-functional on offense, despite just at one point, maybe like not that long ago, because they're up to 56.8% at the rim, which is still last in the league, but it's not the worst in like franchise history, which it was, up until maybe a week ago. He's just like, you could not come up with a player more purpose built to keep the Knicks like at a break even level or better with the specific flaws they have than him. So he's been, like no argument here. He's been unbelievable. From the New York Knicks, we move to the Orlando Magic, and they're number one in the NBA defense, allowing 106.7 points per 100 possessions. As we record this, they are 9-5. Their net rating, 7th best in the league, plus 4.7, despite an offense that has not been good. We got to talk about the defense, I guess, but what do you like about the Magic so far?
Well, it is just their top ranked defense feels for real. Even if they're not going to stay in first place, it feels top 5, top 7 at worst. When you watch them, I think you just get it. They don't start. There's like no deficient defensive players on this roster that are logging heavy minutes. Cole Anthony's not great because he's small, but he's a really good defensive rebounder for his size. Anthony Black navigates the floor in the half court as a defender like an all defense vet. Jalen Suggs is this unique meld of strength and eclipsing hands. The Jonathan Isaac minutes, yeah, they're always going to be limited until the end of time, but his dominant interchangeability is really able to inflict havoc on the half court. This is all happening, by the way. Markelle Fultz has missed a bunch of time with his left knee injury. And then Wendell Carter Jr., who was holding opponents to sub 40% shooting at the rim, has not been playing. Oh, that's okay because Goga Batadze is just going to come in and be a really good rim protector and move well on defense. I did not see enough of him last season, I guess. I don't know if he saw flashed or gave us flickers of this. I've been absolutely mind blown by that. I do think a lot of it helps where your role becomes simplified when you're this good on the perimeter. I think even Franz Wagner is more of a nuisance on the wing than he gets credit for. Paolo Banchero is a little bit switchier and just more physical than he gets credit for. So this defense is the best in the league and might get better. And when you dig into the numbers, so watching it, you just get it. Forcing turnovers like, whoa. But then you dig into the numbers and it's, well, where is the regression going to come from? I don't know. Opponents are shooting 33.5% on wide open threes. That number will come up.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I found where I'm like, well, like this is going to change. Because are Markelle Fultz and or Wendell Carter Jr. going to make them worse on defense? They've catered to defense in a way to where it has impacted their offense. When you start to get into the half court stuff, how it looks. But by building this defense, it has also given them we're one off the dribble shot maker away feel from being this materializing giant in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bit at this point where I dump on Jalen Suggs because he's such a good defensive player and he can't pass and can't make threes. 35.1% from deep this year. Still turns it over way too much. I don't know what you're going to do with him as like a facilitator, but if he could be a league average 3-point shooter with the level of defense that he plays, then I think I might be done bagging on how the Magic just don't have good enough guards. At least they're going to have one, I think, if he's going to shoot like this.